do you know the story of why the shake machine was always a thing? Why it was
No,
always down?
no.
This is like this video is brought to you by Adam and Eve. We'll hear more about them later. For now, let's get on to today's video. Welcome to Room 6, the channel dedicated to local music, wherever it may be, and the people that make it, including me. I'm Josh, and today, my guest is the guitarist for a Florida-based band I found on TikTok. Not the first one of those, actually. They specialize in a blend of alternative, punk, and rock, which they affectionately call trash rock. With over 64,000 listeners on Spotify and over 154,000 followers on TikTok, jealous, they are just basically a great time. I've seen footage of their live shows, and it looks like a party. So with their recent EP, Wasted, is out now. I'm going to have a link down below so you can go get that, and a link to all their social media as well. Please welcome to the channel, Drew Rapier from the band Felicity. Hi, Drew.
Hey, great. Thanks for having me. It's going to be a good time. I'm excited to be here.
Party! Well, right off the bat, thank you very much. And thank you for watching as well. If you want to be like Drew and all my other guests, and we featured on Room 6, whether reviewed, interviewed, or both, hit me up using my email address down below or by clicking the Room 6 social media link. That's where you'll find all the ways you can support what I do. Maybe buy some merch at room6.shop. And what the heck, go ahead and click that like, share, and subscribe button. It all helps, and I thank you. All right, there's my YouTube stuff out of the way. Let's talk music. Right off the bat, why the name Felicity?
The band name Felicity is, Damien and I, our singer Damien and I started this band in his parents' garage. And at the time we had a couple other members. And we were trying to name a band. And if you've ever been in a band, you'll find out that naming a band is one of the hardest things. Because,
yeah, definitely.
Trying to get five, at this point, grown men to agree on one thing that everyone thinks is equally cool and there's not something better was really, really tough. And Damien brought the name Felicity. I think he read it in a book. He had seen it in a book and he just was like, that's cool. And so he didn't know what it meant. So he had looked it up. And then he saw that in the dictionary, it was a synonym for Nirvana, which is one of his favorite bands. And so he was kind of like, well, Nirvana is one of the coolest band names of all time. He looked up and there was no, bands named Felicity. And so it's kind of just that same thing. Like none of us hated it. And we were just like, yeah, let's just go with it. And at the time we had the inclination of like, maybe it would be cool to play a show someday. If we got to that point, was just like the hope. And so now all these years later, it probably means something completely different than what it did that time to us. But we take it as it just means happiness. Do what makes you happy. And for us, that's make music. And we just encourage like everyone for whatever it is that makes you happy. And even if you have to have a 9-to-5 job to push on and do whatever that is, because that's how you're going to live a fulfilled life.
Right on. And I like that. That's a great reason for that name. And yeah, I saw the name and I was like, either they're really into like Victorian literature because it was used back then, or it's something else. So speaking of which, if you don't know who Felicity are, thank you for watching. Go ahead and tell them what you do in the band. I mentioned you're a guitarist, but you and Damien have been like, you were the progenitors of the band and you've been doing this over 10 years. If you can just tell them what you do in the band and also kind of who are we missing?
Yeah. So I play guitar in the band. Our singer is Damien. We started this band. Like you said, 10 years ago in his parents' garage. We met originally on Craigslist, which is a magical place to meet people. And there's a section on Craigslist for like musicians looking for other musicians. And we'd both been posting it there. And Damien was in like the cover scene here in Orlando, playing like 3 hours of cover music in bars. And he really wanted to, his dream was to start an original band. And I had moved down here for grad school here in Orlando, Florida, where we were about to have a hurricane, which is exciting. So we met up and I took the fateful chance of driving to an address that I got from a guy on Craigslist with my music equipment to show up and play. And, we jammed that night, and we pretty much have met up twice a week ever since for the last 10 years to work on this. And we have our bass player, Mike, who's honestly basically a founding member. He joined, I think, within the first year or so, maybe right after the first year. But when he joined, so at this point, he's like an all-time lifer. People don't really remember a world before him. And our drummer, Rashid, has been in the band for about 2 years now. So he's the baby newest member of the band. But we're right now the classic 4-piece, 1 guitar, bass, drums, and vocals, and a lot of energy and a lot of fun.
Nice. You've got this on a couple different social media platforms. I don't know who's moderating or who's controlling like your TikTok and your Instagram and all that.
Yeah.
Banned from Lowe's and Target.
Yeah, that's part of our badge of honor. We like to go into big box stores and just film our TikToks and content in there, whether it's promoting our music or just whatever we can think about doing. We've often tried, like, brought our entire merch set up our merch table inside like Lowe's, just like in the middle of this. There's a band selling their merch with their whole merch set up with lights and stuff. And we just like to see kind of what we can get away with. And then when we do get like asked to leave and then asked to not return, it's like a badge of honor. Like we've done it. But we grew up watching like Jackass, so that's what we like. When it's like, hey, you have to make video content every single day, by the way, is like another thing, because we've been a band since before that was a requirement. We were like, well, what do we want to do? What's fun to us? And it kind of just started going that direction and evolved into another thing and another thing. So yeah, we like to go into public restaurants and big box stores and cause a ruckus and try to film content and get reactions from people. Like, if the Impractical Jokers were in a band, maybe type of vibe. So there is certain Lowe's and Home Depots and Targets in Orlando we are now not allowed to go to. So we have to find new places to shop personally a lot of time too, which sucks.
You must suffer for your art.
Yeah.
I mentioned in the intro that you're not the first Florida-based band that I found on TikTok. I was wondering, have you ever heard of a band called Twin Rova?
Yeah, they're actually, I'm good friends with them. Yeah.
Yep. I managed to catch them. They were back when I was in Las Vegas. I managed to catch them. They were the
I remember that.
I
remember when they went to Vegas. They're homies of mine. So I'm like, yeah, we're going to play a show in Vegas. I'm like, that's wild. That's awesome.
I managed to somehow, like, they were taking a picture of themselves in front of the marquee for Backstage Bar and Billiards, and I was out hanging. I was there to actually do a review of the show because I knew the headliners, and they were the headliners that night. Anyway, long story short, I just saw them and I'm like, they're a band, if anybody's a band. So I started talking and they had the next day free, so they ended up in my kitchen and we had a great time. And
great guys.
Yeah, so if you're watching, guys, come back on the channel. I had a great time. I miss you guys. And if you, Drew and Felicity, or Twin Rova, or anybody that's been on the channel, if you're swinging through the PNW, if you're up in Portland, you're up in Vancouver, Washington, hit me up. I want to go to your show. We'll laugh, we'll hug, we'll cry, we'll drink. It'll be fun.
Got it. Say less.
Yeah, say less. So I'm going to hit you with a kind of a starter question. I usually all the OG Room Sixers know this question's coming. I want to talk about your earliest musical influence, and by that I mean, what is that earliest memory you have of going, I want to do that?
I know exactly what it is.
Bring it.
It was for me. It was specifically watching Back to the Future and watching Marty play, trying to be good at the Champion Under the Sea dance. That was it. Like that's it. I was like, yep, that's the only thing I ever want to do.
I thought you were going to say when he's standing in front of the wall of amps with his pick in the air.
That was cool, but seeing that whole musical sequence of just like seeing him like, the crowd be dead and then they start doing that and just seeing everyone go crazy and being able to do that. And I've always wanted to be like some type of entertainer, I feel, ever since I was a kid, whether it was just new, like performing or trying to make my family laugh or whatever it was something. And that really was like, I want to play electric guitar in front of people. Like recording music would be cool too, whatever, doing the whole band thing. But like really, like I love playing guitar live. And it all started from that scene and that movie. And Yeah, I started begging my parents for a guitar. They bought me an acoustic guitar, and I was like, this isn't what I was talking about. And then they made me take lessons. I took lessons with my acoustic guitar. Finally, I convinced them to buy me an electric guitar, and that's kind of been a massive part of my life ever since.
And I'll bet you're glad they made you take those lessons.
Yes, yes, and but just acoustic guitar. I was like chords, schmords. This isn't what Marty was doing,
You knew
But
kid,
now I'm
yeah.
really glad.
You knew
There's
musicians out there.
there's certain amount of basics I learned a lot like from doing lessons when I was little, and I did them maybe through middle school and into high school. But then I started a band with some friends in high school, and that's where you learn. That's where you really learn. You're playing with other musicians, and you're trying not to either let them down or hold them back, and you're like, wow, now it's on a different level. And I was lucky enough that my first band in high school was with some insanely talented musicians, and I was by far the worst. They let me be in a band with them, but I was constantly trying to I had to get on their level fast because I didn't want to do that. And that's where I learned the most. Like I learned probably more from doing that and just going and doing it with people better than you than I did in lessons. But the lessons were important to learn that there is things called chords, and there is a scale, and there are names of these notes, and there's names of these things, and you that way, if you want to learn it, you know how to go seek that info at a later time if you need to.
Awesome. Yeah, there's no better teacher than necessity, as they say,
Yep.
and also peer pressure. So,
Yeah. And
so
the fear of embarrassment.
yeah. So you guys have played some pretty big stages, like Vans Warped Tour, and
Mhm.
I was wondering, is there still a dream gig when you're chasing after?
Man, I think like for this band, for these group of guys, like nothing is ever enough. So when we say dream gig, it's like, well, like okay, Super Bowl of the halftime show, like halftime show at the Super Bowl, like that's the greatest thing you can do as a musician. Like the biggest stage, biggest audience, and like you've reached the pinnacle if you reach that point, especially at this point as a as a band, right? Like I think Chili Peppers were the last like maybe rock band to really to get that opportunity, and so like I think that's the pinnacle, the biggest one would be.
I mean, yeah, that's a pretty high bar.
Yep.
I feel like another pinnacle, like you made it as a musician if Weird Al covers you.
That too, for sure, definitely, and especially as a songwriter. As a
Yeah,
songwriter, if Weird Al is able to take your song and make a completely separate hit song out of your song, then how good of an original song was that,
right.
and how popular? And I think that's 100% it. And for us, like we're just if we get to be Metallica, then it's like, well, Metallica, like, does Metallica sit around and be like, well, we'll never be the Beatles or whatever it might be, right? I think it's like always about the journey, not necessarily about the destination. And if it's always never enough, then you're just going to keep trying to push harder and harder and get there. And there was a time like I talked about at the beginning where we're just guys in a garage who playing this one venue in Orlando would was at the time a pinnacle, right? And so now it's like you said, getting to play some of these cool festival opportunities or getting to open for some bands that you were listening to when you were little and inspired you to play music, and now you're getting to open for them. Like that's all really cool that those doors start to open too. And really, I can tell you, it's just been like bare bones hard work. At the end of the day, if you commit to something, you follow through with it, and you work really hard at it, like you're gonna make progress, like to whatever that goal is, and probably get further than you ever imagined you could get, um, as long as you keep going. And once that starts happening, then it's just okay. Well, why would we stop? You know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like I had a thought and I just lost it. Hold on, poor little lonely thought. All right, so I feel like if you got to enjoy the ride, but also not get complacent, which
Yep.
is basically everything you said. And I mean, like Metallica, not to go down too big of a rabbit
Yeah.
hole,
Yeah.
but Metallica, they could have been like, or our bass player died. I guess we're
Mm-hmm. Of
breaking up.
course.
Our bass player left. I guess we're breaking up.
Mm-hmm.
And they've always just been like, hey, what if we did this? Well,
Mm-hmm.
screw what the fans like.
Yeah.
Let's do this,
Yeah.
And then they did Garage Inc. and they did all the
Yeah. Yeah.
and they cut their hair and all that jazz. But
Yeah.
yeah,
They're the only band that's played on every single continent. Like,
really,
Yeah, they went to like the Arctic Circle to did play there just so they could say they were the only band that ever did it. Like a band that's never enough. It's never going to be enough for them. It's always what can we do bigger.
Yep.
Going to see them next year. I got tickets. I'm excited. It's one of my faves.
Nice. Yeah, they're doing it in the round now.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right. So before we move on, I'm going to take a quick little break here.
Sure.
Stretch out and limber up a little. And we're going to hear a quick message from future Josh. So see you in a minute.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Thanks, Josh from the past. You know what time it is? It's time to get sexy. That's right, everyone. Whether you're flying solo or have multiple co-pilots, it's nice to spice things up once in a while. Want to know what pops my cork? Saving money while I'm getting saucy by shopping at Adam & Eve.
Cringe.
Adam & Eve is the nation's largest marketer of adult products with millions of satisfied customers in the United States and all over the world. Founded in 1971, Adam & Eve is also one of the oldest names in the rapidly evolving adult industry. They can accommodate any and all your special needs. Just for watching this video, and not one of those other videos, and for a limited time, you can use my affiliate link down in the description to get a whopping 35% off your entire order. Just enter promo code STIMULUS at checkout. Plus, you'll be helping out the channel and your love life. Thanks to Adam & Eve for being a sponsor, and let's get back to the not quite so spicy video. We're back, and if that sponsor spot interested you at all, please consider clicking the link down in the description. You'll save some money, I'll get some money, it's a win-win. Stick around, we're going to be seeing a music video for their song The Weather after this, and it's pretty cool. It's off of their EP, Wasted, which I will be doing a separate review video of, so stick around for that if you haven't subscribed. What are you waiting for? And yeah, so back to Drew. Speaking of TikTok, which took longer to happen? McDonald's fixing their shake machine or out pizzaing the Hut?
Definitely McDonald's always takes forever. I mean, it's not even ever. I don't think it exists at this point. I think they just put ice cream on the menu to attract people to come in, and then they just let us down.
Nice. I just, for those of you that are wondering what the hell that was about, on the TikTok, every so often you'll see the lead singer Damien holding the jukebox over his head, a la what was that classic movie?
Say Anything.
Yeah, Say Anything. John Cusack, he's out there, and he's saying, playing whatever single it was until McD's fixes their shake machine. Did you know the story of why the shake machine was always a thing? Why it was always down?
No.
This is like... They had this contract they were trapped in where the people who they contract the shake machines through would not allow them to have anybody else fix them. This company was the only ones. So McDonald's
boys couldn't learn how to fix it and whatnot. Yeah.
McDonald's was literally like, we can't fix it. We're waiting on the guy or the girl.
Yeah.
And so that contract is actually coming to an end. They finally won the right to just fix it however they want.
That's great.
It is great. So
it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. There's a band in Vegas called Crimson Riot, a pop punk band. Amazing act. They've been on the channel. They were actually my third interview ever, and they still hold the record at longest ever. We shared, 4 of us emptied a bottle of Jameson with shot glasses, and it was like a 2.5 hour finished video.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. My poor laptop at the time was just like, took forever. It took 8 hours to upload.
Yeah.
So, but they have a song called "Here's the Bad News, Laura," and the chorus goes, "And the shake machine is always down."
Yeah.
So when I heard this, I'm like, Roxy Gunn, did you know about this?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Getting back to the interview. Sorry. So we talked about earliest musical influence. We talked about like the dream gig. Now I want to swivel over to, do you personally have just this one time kind of your best show memory or your most memorable memory? And it could be really good or it could be really bad. But from you guys performing as Felicity, was there ever a moment where you're like, oh, that's one for the books?
Yeah. There's been a couple. I'd say like the couple of the coolest ones. Last summer we got to go to LA and play our first show in LA, which is always exciting for a band. But we got to open for the Used at their album release show, and it was just us and the Used. It wasn't like there was like 5 bands and we're the opening. It was just we flew to LA because we got the opening to just open for the Used for their album release show, which was at the Troubadour, which is one of the most famous venues in the world. Which is I think their first headline show in LA was at the Troubadour, so they wanted to do their album release show there because it's like maybe like a 500 cap venue. It's not a big room, but it was completely sold out, obviously, because it's the Used, and so just that was like completely surreal. Like our manager at the time was like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna bring Bert over to say hi," and he brings him into our green room. She's like this. He's like, "Hi, I'm Bert," and I'm like, I know who you are, man. I watched you at Warped Tour when I was like 12 years old and dropped off on my parents and been like, I want to be like that. So that was an amazing moment where we're just like pinch me playing that show, and then us being like, hey, when's the next time we might get an opportunity like this? We just like we're side stage for their entire set, and the stage is not that big, so we're like 5, 10 feet away from him, 12 feet away from him. And we're just parked there. So the entire crowd can just see all of Felicity just rocking out to every song, just side stage. Because we're just like, no one's going to stop us from being here. So it was awesome. And getting to watch the entire show from that point of view, too, was super cool. That was definitely a surreal pitching moment. The other one I'd say is we won a contest for this big rock fest. So, these giant rock fests that happen everywhere. It's like Aftershock. And
right.
One of their lines, it was one of those. And it was in Fort Myers, Florida, few years ago, and we won a contest to be able to play it. It was a nationwide contest, though. We just happened to be in Orlando, so it was like only a 4-hour drive from us. But we won it. We got to play it, and we were obviously like earlier on in the day, as the smaller bands get to do. But crowd was insane, was great. But then afterwards, we just had like artist access as like every other artist, and we're like, wow. So we there all day, going back to catering. Let's see what bands are there. Side stage for every band that was playing, like just got sunburns because we just were refusing to leave the backstage like side stage area because we got to watch every band. And we were eating, and then we went into the bathroom afterwards. And these types of things, if you're in a band, you like travel as a pack a lot of the time, like especially a festival. It's like, hey, we're all going to eat, and then we're all going back here, and then we're all going to our trailer or whatever it is. So we were all eating, and then we're like, all of us like, let's go to the bathroom. So then we all go to the bathroom. So we're in the bathroom, and the door opens, and another band, clearly band, like you talked about seeing Twin Rover, like clearly another band walks in, and we're like, holy fuck, it was Papa Roach. And we're like, all of Papa Roach and all of Felicity just in the bathroom with like one stall, one urinal. So it's just like this line of like band guys. And I had already gone to the bathroom. I was waiting for my bandmates, but all of Papa Roach filed in line behind me, like they were in line. And I was like, oh, I'm not, I don't need to go. I'm not. And they're like, and Jacoby Shaddix, lead singer of Pop Roach, was like, "Oh man, yeah, just hanging out in the men's room." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm just trying to see some dicks, And like all of Pop Roach started laughing, and I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!"
Oh my
like
God.
I could have blown that moment, but I didn't. And all of us were like, "Holy shit!" And then we're like, "Go kill it out there. We'll see you," because they were about to go on stage like a half hour later. So then we got to watch them, side stage, and I always say that like, seeing them right before they go on, there's like a band huddle, and they huddle up, and all of them are so happy and so excited. And they're probably on show 120 out of 150 or whatever, right, in a row. And you could tell to those guys, it's not work to them still. It's still the same. They were so excited to go out. And so for us, it was like, A, they were so genuine. They were so nice to us. They had no idea who we were. And then to be able to see them and like to have them, like, you could tell that every day they get to play a show is the best day of their life, which is the dream, right? Was the dream. Like, that's your only job and that's what you're doing. So it was definitely really cool and inspirational. And then being able to be on the same lineup and play that same stage was really rad too.
Oh my God. Between that and the Troubadour, you checked off so many Rockstar wishlist things.
And it's crazy. It's crazy. Like I said, and I'll tell you, like, we started this in a garage, couple dudes learning a couple cover songs, and then just never stopping, continue being consistent with it, and just working at improving and getting better. And if you do that and you have your heart in the right place, like, you'll get going there. We're still not anywhere close to where we want to be, and it's taken us 10 years to get here. But the journey has moments like that, and every time you have one of those, you're like, "This, all right, let's keep going. Another year. Sign me up. Every single year, re-up, never stops."
Nice. And that is the perfect joke, by the way, for Papa Roach.
Yeah, it was great.
That was
It was
awesome. All right, we got one more question left. You made it. Hey, last
Cool.
question. And then we're going to see that music video for the weather. And thank you again for watching, and thank you for coming on the channel. Make sure you check out those social media links that I'll put down in the description. And yeah, go buy the EP, Wasted. So, last question. I always like to circle back to my earlier question about the earliest musical influence. All right,
Sure.
so this is another one of I asked this of all my prey questions. We've all done that kind of, if I could go back in the past, what would I change? You can go back in time and talk to yourself and tell yourself one thing that you wish you had known when you started down this twisted path that is music. What would it be? And it doesn't have to be a memory. It doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be a warning. It doesn't have to be like, it's just like, hey, you're going to need to know this. And don't say change your strengths.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's tough. Okay. I would say that one of the big lessons I think we've had to learn is that is one that probably when you first start a band, you get a group of guys together and you're all there. And the fact of the matter is that probably won't be your last, you're the only band you'll ever be in. And if it is, those probably won't be the same guys that will be there along the way. And having to understand that that's part of the journey and to be okay with it, because, 10 years we've had a lot of people come and go. And now it's a lot easier for us to realize, hey, like, are we doing ourselves any favors by having this person in the band? Are we doing them any favors by being it? If you can start feeling like someone's heart's not in it, it probably isn't. And having those tough conversations could potentially save a lot of time and stress and friendships and things like that in the future. And so just like now when it comes up, we're able to handle a lot better. We understand. And it's more like a reality, like, hey, when you first start the band, it's like, this is it. It's going to be this forever. But the reality is knowing that it probably won't be this forever. And you can look up every single band that's ever existed, including Metallica. It's not like that forever. And it's not like that forever in the second iteration, and potentially maybe in a third iteration if we're talking about that band, right? But being aware of it and being okay with it and that feedback, I think would be really, really important.
That is really huge, because I agree with you. I couldn't have said it any better. And you new musicians out there, it's kind of like your first relationship.
100%.
It is a relationship, and you're in a relationship with people who are not just, hey, I'm comfortable being around you. It's, hey, I'm counting on you to do your part and to not be, a jerk to and be reliable and practice. That's like practice and rehearsal are two different things. Yeah. So, but yeah, I couldn't say it any better. And that's all. I got nothing else to say. So
great.
Thank you very much for watching, and thank you for being on the channel, Drew. Stick around. We're going to see that music video for the weather, and then we'll catch you in the outro. In the meantime, we'll temporarily say goodbye.
Cool.
Yep. Catch you in a minute.
See you.
From 100 miles away, so I poured my I feel you comfort me, and I know that I messed up, but I hope you forgive me, love. Let it be water run to the bridge. You change your mind more than the moon changes tides, and I need you here in my hemisphere to make my seasons right. You're the rain in my drought, you're the way through my cloud, but the forecast here is too severe, so I won't go out. I can feel you changing from a hundred miles away, so I board my windows up and hide someplace safe. I feel you comfort me, and I know that I messed up, but I hope you forgive me, love. Let it be water run to the bridge. Water run to the You're pulling up palm trees on a destructive path again. You're flooding my city. You're overreacting. You're breaking down buildings. Thought about what trip again. You're making me dizzy. You're overreacting. I can feel you changing from a hundred miles away, so I board my windows up and hide someplace safe. I feel you comfort me, and I know that I messed up, but I hope you forgive me, love. Let it be water run to the bridge. Water run to the bridge. Keep me locked up.
I want to thank Drew from Felicity for coming on the channel. It was a great interview and an awesome music video. If you want to know more about them, hit those social media links down below. And if you want to be on the channel, hit me up. In the meantime, if you want to see more videos like this, please click up here. If you want to subscribe, click over there. And if you want to hear my own music, click over there. Remember to be amazing, and we'll see you next time on Room 6. Say goodbye, Drew.
Goodbye, Drew.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-bum.